Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name's Natalie Barton, dental hygienist. Are you a dental hygienist with foot pain? Let's talk about it. All right, so about 3 years ago, I woke up one morning and I had horrible foot pain. All the way up my heel, my calves. I felt like I climbed a 14er the day before. Now, if you're not from Colorado, a 14er is a 14,000 foot mountain that we climb for fun. And I have done several. But this morning, I had not climbed a 14er the day before, so I couldn't figure out why everything was so sore. And it happened the next day, and the next day, and I'd stand up out of bed, and I had horrible cramps and just pain in the back of my calf and down through my heel and into my foot. See, what am I doing? Why is this happening? So I assumed it was my sheets. I figured the sheets on my bed, maybe we tucked them in too tight that week, and it was like pulling on my toes one direction or another, and that was maybe causing my foot pain. So that morning I untucked the sheets, and that night I went to bed. The next morning I was still limping out of bed. Now, I've slept all night. I should be relaxed. I couldn't figure it out. This was completely new to me. I had no idea what it was. And it was kind of progressive over a couple of months. And I just couldn't figure out what it was. Thankfully, I have a friend who is a podiatrist. So I called him up and said, "These are my symptoms. What's going on?" He goes, "Congratulations, you have plantar fasciitis." Yay. So he gave me some insoles to order for my shoes and recommended some calf stretches. Okay, fine. It helped a little bit, but I was still having the issue weeks later, months later. The insoles helped, but it just didn't fix it. So I started thinking about it. What's causing this? Obviously, I'm sitting at least 45 minutes out of the hour. I'm sitting with a patient on my work days. Okay. Sitting is going to be not allowing that calf muscle to just stretch. And when I get home, I'm video editing, or I'm doing voice acting and audio editing. And I realized I'm not walking around enough. I definitely don't exercise regularly. I was not doing the things that would stretch that calf muscle back out during the rest of the day. And so I was allowing my muscles actually to shrink down and atrophy in that position. Yay, not good. I was on Facebook and I was noticing a lot of girls asking about, what shoes do you wear? What insoles do you buy? So why is everybody asking about shoes? Who cares as long as they look professional and they're not open toes? Why do they care so much about shoes? Then I thought, maybe it's not just me that has this problem. Maybe it's fairly common with us dental hygienists, but I'd never seen anything about it. I definitely never heard anything about it in school. So after a lot of trial and error the last few years, let me tell you what's worked for me. Okay, so it's January now, but I figured this all out last summer. So because it was warm, I decided to try something. I was browsing Facebook and an ad popped up for grounding shoes. So it's essentially walking around barefoot on the ground, which allows an electrical exchange of ions between your body and the ground and helps to decrease inflammation. They've done some really interesting studies on it. If you haven't looked up grounding, go check it out. It's very, very interesting. So there were some shoes being offered on this Facebook ad. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot, because one of the reviews on there said she had plantar fasciitis. And she, of course, had been told, we need to wear arch support, all things we've been told, right? And instead, she went with these guys. Now, if you can see these, they are flatter than a pancake. And they're they're so thin. Look at this. They're so thin. And they've got these little copper plug in it. Let's see if it'll focus on that. Anyway, so they have these little copper plugs in the bottom. And what happens is your electrons go through there. There's copper wire that runs up and through the laces, which wrap around your ankle and your foot and allow the exchange of electrons and all that good stuff. I went, well, it supposedly helped her, which just blew my mind, because how can you go from having arch support to no arch support at all and supposedly feel better? That just didn't make sense. But they have a return policy. I figured I'd give it a shot. So I ordered these. Again, these are Earth Runners, and I was very impressed with that. I wore them all summer. You could probably tell they're fairly worn. I liked them. My feet, they have kind of a canvas here, and the texture, my feet loved the texture of these, which I found super interesting. And I went hiking in these for hours last summer. And I have hiking boots. I have professional hiking boots because I climb 14ers on occasion and other hiking. And I would never have dreamed about running around in the mountains with something like this. So I would get off work and I would take my tennis shoes off and I would slip into my earth runners and my feet would go, thank you. And I just thought that was so interesting. So it did seem to help. And they had a theory on their website about how if you arch support too much, you actually essentially atrophy the muscles because they don't have to work anymore. So by putting them on flat shoes, you are encouraging those muscles to start working again. And it did seem to help. Okay, secondly, I bought myself a massage gun. This was originally going to be for neck, shoulders, and behind my shoulder blade, kind of where I have this ongoing knot I've had since about 2008. And it's great for that. I love it for that. It's good. But I end up using this thing on my feet quite often. And I like this tip for that. It gets right into those little nodules in my feet. It makes it feel so good. And it runs on I think it's a 5-minute timer or something that turns itself off. So I'll do 5 minutes per foot. And I just feel like a whole new person when I'm done. So highly recommend, if you don't have one of these, get one. They are so worth it. This is the Bob and Brad. You can find it on Amazon. I will have an affiliate link below if you want to check it out, help out the channel. I'd love it. If not, there's tons of different brands on there. But these guys I follow on YouTube and they're awesome. So I figured I'd help them out. So, all right. Number 3, for Christmas, on the same note as the grounding shoes, I decided I was going to try grounding sheets. So again, with Christmas coming up, they had a bunch of sales. I'm going to try grounding sheets. So I put them on our bed and I'm reading all these reviews about, oh, it's the best night of sleep I've ever had in my life and da-da-da-da-da. I went, oh, okay, well, we'll see, right? I woke up the first morning, definitely not the best night of sleep I've ever had in my life. So, no. Night 2, I was like, still not really feeling anything. I don't know if this is working. I was going to keep them for a week and then return them if I didn't like them. And by day 5, I was waking up. My feet had no pain. My shoulder had no pain. My neck had no pain. So and I'm dreaming super vividly. I don't know how that affects anything, but yeah, it's been really wild. So, interesting benefit, I suppose. I would check those out as well. I thought that was very interesting. It does seem to decrease the inflammation. I broke my shoulder in 2008. That's why I have all the pain there and a permanent knot because I had a bunch of broken ribs too. And that, it's my little arthritis area, right? Weather changes, blah, blah, blah. I feel it. And I have not felt that in, what are we at? So 6 weeks now? About 6 weeks now. And wow, it's nice. Waking up in the morning, I have more energy. It's not a ton, but it is, I do notice it. My mood has been better, which I find interesting. And again, less pain in my feet. And maybe that's all just connected. I just feel better when I wake up. So, and it's going to work. By the end of the day, I'm back being like Quasimodo and I feel terrible. But I crawl into those sheets every night and I wake up in the morning and I go, I feel good. And it's like a reset button. It's pretty cool. I would check it out. If that is some, curious to you, go do some research. There's an interesting documentary on YouTube about it. And yeah, look that up. Very interesting. And finally, I T-Tapp, and I'm trying to do it more regularly. When I did it regularly at the beginning of my career, I had no carpal tunnel pain, no neck pain, no shoulder pain, and it kept the inches off. It's amazing. I can do this for 5-6 days in a row. It's a 15-minute program. There's an hour one as well. I will link both below, but I lost an inch around my waist in a week, not changing diet at all, just doing this 15-minute workout. You don't sweat like a pig. It's not a HIIT workout. It's more like therapy. So it's a lot of stretching. It's some weird movements. You feel like a duck when you do it, but man, it works. And so I'm getting back into using that again. It's called T-Tapp. It was by a woman named Teresa Tapp, who sadly died a few years ago. I think it was her kids, either her kids or her husband, or I don't know. The family fought over her estate for like 2 years, and her websites have disappeared, and I don't know what all happened, but her stuff was phenomenal. I have her DVDs, but her videos are on YouTube. So again, I will link a couple of them below that helped with, like carpal tunnel and some of the things I was dealing with. And they make a big difference, and it's not that hard. And you feel so good when you're done, like you feel more energized. Okay, so while not completely gone, those are the 4 changes I've made that really helped me out. What about you? Do you have plantar fasciitis? Are you having some of these issues? Are you going to try any of these things out? Are you going to do any of your research? Like, are you curious about anything? I will answer questions below if you have any. Maybe we can figure this out for everybody, because that's not exactly a side effect any of us were expecting, I don't think. All right, well, like and subscribe. Have an awesome week, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care.